Hey, good morning again. This is Rabbi Shlomo First here on screen with our Gemora here in Yeshiva Tsama Nafshi here in Yerushalyim, HaKodesh.
Well, we have lots of fun.
You have to start it again now.
No.
I want the audience
Add
to know we have fun here.
this straight through to the end. And we're learning Gemora here. I'm temporarily substituting for Rabbi Reuben Leather. Excuse me? No laughs. Strict seriousness around here. Absolute serious. Yeah. Okay, we're in Daf Mem Vav in the
Mem Zion?
excuse me, correct, Mem Zion Amid Aleph. And
Base.
on the base, Mem Zion on the base. Maybe we won't start that over again. No, we'll take up too much time for the introduction. Yeah. Okay, let's go. Let's see the Gemora. Everyone knows the Mishnah, very complex Mishnah. When you have time, you work out all the details of the Mishnah, right? 3 cases.
Right.
And
Each one has a ration of Seifa.
right, actually, the last case.
There's actually the emsa is also in each case has an emsa. There are 3 cases. There are 3 things in the ration.
Each case has an EMSA?
Yeah, because
I don't think the first case has an EMSA.
it is the concept of the emsa. It's like a hidden emsa, sort of like.
Oh, you're right. You're right.
Where one is the question of whether he
You're
came
right.
in without permission,
Right.
and there are 2 parts of that. There's a part of he came in without permission, whether or not damage occurs to those items that he brought in, and whether or not those items cause damage to the
Right.
Bava.
And then with permission, it's the same.
And then with permission is a safer part of it. And there is
Right.
2 parts of it. You could in a sense have,
Each
you
one
in a
has
sense
an
could have an
EMSA.
EMSA within it. That without permission, but the damage. Not the damage of the item, but the damage you caused to the Balabayit.
Right.
Right.
Good point.
So I'll tell you,
The opposite of Balabayit.
if you want to work on something, we won't spend time on it now, but if you want to work out, try and come up with a tally of how many halachas, how many dinim there are in this Mishnah. How many cases of chayiv, how many patur.
Including by implication or just explicit?
Well, start the easy way. Start with explicit, and then if you think there's implicit mashmos, so you can include those as well. If you want to spend time working on something, try and think of developing how many cases of chiyuv and how many cases of patur there are here. Help you get more of a crystal clear picture of the Mishnah. Right there. You always think of things to try and make concrete what we learn, because otherwise it can be very abstract and conceptual. And if you try and bring it down to 7 cases of chiyuv and 7 cases of patur, so then you'll have a very handy way of analyzing the Mishnah. Okay, you're going to do the Gemora as you said. Let's start from the beginning. Give me the benefit of the doubt. Who's interested in beginning to read?
I will read.
Okay.
Tsama, the reason.
What the reason of why?
The reason that the potter is liable for the damage that his pots caused the animal.
Right. Good.
Did shalo reshus, that it was without permission. Since he came in the courtyard and brought his pots in without permission, so he's going to be liable if there's damage. If the cow steps on the pots and cuts his leg, then the owner of the pots has to pay for the damage to the cow. The reshus, how is it with permission? So there was no permission. So therefore the implication is that if there was permission for him to come in, then lo mi, 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 b'nizike behemto de bal chatzir. There would not be an obligation upon the owner of the pots for damages to the animal of the owner of the courtyard. So, he comes in without permission, he's not liable. Therefore, if he came in, he is liable. Therefore, if he came in with permission, he would not be liable. That's the implication. Below Amrina, we do not say, Kabule Kabil Bal Kedei Ros Netirusa Divehemto. We don't say that he certainly received or accepted the owner of the pots the obligation to guard the animal. We don't say, in other words, the implication is that if he had permission to enter,
Right.
then we assume that it's like he accepted responsibility to guard the animal.
Right. Now, what seems to be the
You might
reason
say
for that?
he didn't accept responsibility. Why should what?
Who's the date? Who's the date?
The he is the owner of the pots.
All the other the pots.
Let's say, when did the owner of the pots say, "I agree that if anything happens to the owner's animal, I'll be responsible"? He never said that. We don't say that. We don't say he never said that. We say that he implicitly accepted responsibility by entering in the first place. Right?
Is there any should there be any logical connection between the two?
Yeah.
Yeah,
We
when
might-
he brought pots in, why do you expect him to guard the other guy's animal? Guarding the animal is like something that
To
Al
protect.
would do.
Right. Well,
So why would he watch the animal?
Watch
How
the
is he
animal.
guarding an animal? Guarding an animal is not his thing. He brought pots in.
yeah, I'm a potter. I'm not a zookeeper. But
Right.
Maybe it's like what might have to protect his animal. Right? I don't
He's
know
got
anything
his
about
animal
animals.
in here. He takes care of making sure nothing goes wrong. So I brought some pots in. So
What
what?
do I know about animals?
Right.
Right?
Right. We don't say that.
You know what they talk about? They talk about a bull in a china shop.
Right.
This is a classical case of bull in a china shop.
Right.
Now the
Right.
china shop in the bullpen.
Right.
So why should there be some de facto agreement? What's the havamina? What's the assumption here that we're operating? Obviously, there's some assumption that we're operating under here. Okay.
Who? So the question is, whose opinion is it that we don't say that he didn't accept responsibility? Rebbe, it's Rebbe's opinion. Damar, that Rebbe said, Kol bistama, anytime you have a plain agreement with nothing specified, lo kabil aleha netirusa. He does not accept upon himself guarding.
Right.
So that's what Rebbe says in the end of the Mishnah. Rebbe says, "B'chulan eino chayiv." In all these cases, he's not chayiv.
Because he's the last opinion, right? That's the last. You just jump up to the end of the Mishnah there, right? About just before the Gemora, Rebbe Omer, "B'chulan eino chayiv ad shekibul alav v'shmur."
Until he accepts upon himself to guard.
Right? And he must accept upon himself specifically with intention that he's going to protect the owner's animal. Right?
Right. So therefore, if he doesn't accept that explicitly, then he's not obligated,
Right.
according to Rebbe.
Good.
The Rebbe's the one who has that view. Ema Seifa. That's according to the Reisha. But now let's look at the Seifa. Now I believe that this Seifa is referring to the Seifa of the first case. In other words, the situation where it says Ve'im chichnis bereshus chayev. If he brought his pots in with permission, he's obligated. Okay?
Good.
Hichnis bereshus bal chatzer chayev. If he brought it in with permission, the bal chatzer is chayev. Wait a second. I just said not the bal chatzer, but the.
We just say, hey,
No, the owner of the courtyard is chayiv. Bal chatzer chayiv. Yeah, that's the first case.
Bal
Chatzer chayiv. Okay. So that's
And the Bal Chatzir. Okay. But that doesn't say whether there was a damage.
Okay, there are two parts with it, and that's the question. It doesn't delineate it between what part we're talking about.
Right.
That if he gave permission to bring his pots in, that means the Baal Chatzir is going to watch out that he doesn't want to break the guy's pots. That does not necessarily say that I don't want to get injured by your pots. You know, that if I slip on a pot or something like that, which is you could say. I mean, he's considered chayiv. He just would not collect on that case. You know, that's the question. So the chayiv can't refer to the Baal Chatzir getting injured by the pots, because who's he chayiv to himself? I mean, it's not a question of that. So the chayiv can only be in the pots issue, so to speak. That he broke the pots. Then the Baal Chatzir would have to be chayiv to reimburse the potter for his pots that he gave permission to bring in. I told you to bring it in.
So
But now, if there's an injury, how can you say he's chayiv for an injury to himself? Because that would happen. That's what the second case is. That's the middle case of the Reisha, so to speak, or the Emsa case of how we want to define it. That's the part that we still we don't understand yet. That's the unknown, which was the implication in the first case that when we opened up, and that's the reason why we let him bring in with reshut. That's without reshut. The implication was, well, in the second case, without reshut would mean it would reverse. He wouldn't be chayiv.
But you don't have any proof for that.
No.
Right.
okay. Asan, the Rabbanan de Amre, we've arrived at what the rabbis said. Bistama nami, in the stam case, in a case where nothing is explicitly stated, also kabule kabil ale nitirusa. He accepts upon himself guarding. So the rabbis disagree with Rebbe. Rebbe says in the stam case he does not accept guarding. The rabbis say in the stam case he does accept guarding. So what's the seifa? The seifa is a stam case where the owner said you have permission to come in, and now we're saying he's liable if the pots are down. If his cow damages the pots, the owner has to pay. The owner of the courtyard has to pay for the pots. Why? He never said I accept responsibility. According to Rebbe, he should not be chayav, but according to the rabbis, he is chayav. And so we have a difference between the Reisha and the Sefer. The Reisha is according to the opinion of Rebbe, and the Sefer is according to the opinion of the rabbis.
Yeah, but again, the chayiv can't be on the pots. The chayiv has to be on the damage.
It's on the pots. The chayiv is on the pots.
You won't
The
take-
owner of the courtyard is obligated to pay for the pots that his cow damaged.
Let's take a look
Okay.
at the Rashi here, okay? First,
Okay.
two Rashis. see, timer the shelo b'rishus, meaning the reason that when he's without rishus, then what?
Mishum hachi, because of this,
You will have the Rashis?
Yeah, I just want to say something. I want to take a look at the Gemora for a second.
Thank you.
Because the pot case is not talking about the animal.
Right.
The pot case is only talking about it getting broken. Oh, the animal broken. Okay, fine, let's go on.
Good.
im,
We'll do the Rashi. or
what is this word? Hazaka? No, hazaka. Huska
Behem.
behem. If there is presumption concerning them,
No,
No, who's got it's damaged? It's damaged by
We're
it.
talking about the cow. If the
Who's
cow, if the Torah or the shore of the Baal HaChotzer was huskuk and was damaged
by them, by the pots,
then what?
Baal Kediros Chayiv. The owner of the courtyard is obligated.
Right, Baal
Right.
No,
Kederos.
Baal Kederos.
Baal Kederos.
Kederos. What's
Baal
Kederos?
The
Pots.
potter,
Oh,
the
the
potter.
pots.
Baal
Only the
Kederos.
The potter would be chayiv if his pots, if
Was
he came in without,
Damage
if he came
the
in without
cow.
reshut,
I got it.
and if he gets damaged by it, then he'd be chayiv on the damage that he caused the animal by his pots.
Right. Minai Rebbe he. Whose opinion is this? It's Rebbe. The Amar that he says the Seifa in the Seifa, the Hulan with in every case, Eino Chayiv, he's not obligated, Kule, etc. Okay, so this is the statement of Rebbe at the very end of the Mishnah.
Rashi's just quoting you
Quoting it, right?
the statement of Rebbe at the
very
last
end.
point. That
Right.
Correct. Now what's shot in the Gemora? What's the Gemora doing with this statement? Why is it introducing this statement here in the Gemora?
Saltu Daisa that it might occur to you, the Rabbanan, that according to the rabbis, Hihachi, in this case, the Baal Chatzir, the owner of the courtyard, the Reshus, with permission, May Chayev, is obligated.
Very important statement, right? It says here, Kasalka Daita, the hot meaning is now, the assumption that the Gemara is operating under now is as follows, that according to the Rabbanan, not Rebbe, but according to the Rabbanan, Hihechi the Baal Chatzir B'Rishus, Mechayev B'Nizkei Kederos. That when it was that the Baal HaChotzer allowed him to come in with permission, with Rishus, Mechayev B'Nizkei Kederos. He's going to be obligated in any damage that would occur to the pots.
Right.
Why?
With
With the stama,
because in a plain case, Kabil Aleha, he accepts upon himself Nit Rufsa, to guard. Hachinami, here also, Mechayev, he's obligated, Baal Kederos, the owner of the pots, Beniski, for damage, Baal Habayis, for damaging the Baal Habayis, Kid Stama, Dibastama, that in a plain case, Ki Yahiv, because it is laid to him, Baal Habayis, the owner of the courtyard, Rishusa, permission.
the Ma'al,
The Ma'el.
Oh, so okay, since right, the Mestamik Yevle Balabayas Rishus L'Mayel, that the assumption is when he was given permission by the Balabayas L'Mayel to come in, right?
Kibul Aleha, he accepted upon himself Keder, the pot owner,
Mm-hmm.
Potter.
the potter, Netirusa, to guard the low lizku, that he would not damage, Kediroso, that his pots would not damage the Baal Chatzer, the owner of the courtyard.
Right. When he came in, the potter with Rishus of the owner of the Kvatzer, he by allowing him to come in with Rishus, the potter is assuming responsibility to make sure that there'll be no damage to the owner of the Chatzar because of his pots. He's allowing me to come in. So, in turn, since I'm allowed to come in, I'm taking upon myself responsibility to make sure no damage will occur to anything I bring into the Chatzar. And according to this, why if he comes in without Rishus, right? What would you say if he comes in without Rishus? Would it change?
Yeah. There's no Stama accepting the responsibility if he came in without Rishus. The Stama is because he came in with Rishus, therefore he feels, now that he let me come in with Rishus, I have to watch it.
But if he came in without Rishus, what's the halacha?
If he came in without Rishus, the Baal HaKodesh would be, he's chayiv either way, basically.
He's chayiv either way.
On the chuska part.
Excuse me?
Right, it's the chuska part that he'd be chayiv on. Right, he's either way he's chayiv on the chuska.
Either way he's chayiv.
He's chayiv on the chuska part.
Right.
Not on the pot part.
Right.
The pots themselves switches between Rishut and not Rishut.
Oh, meaning whether the Balabai is going to have to pay for the pots or not. But in terms of the potter, right, whether he comes in with Rishus or not, he's chayiv in both cases. Right?
Right.
If he comes in with Rishus, Rashi's telling us he comes in with Rishus, so therefore he's knowingly accepting upon himself, right, responsibility for any damage his pots would cause. Right? But in the first case, where he's coming in without Rishus, whether he's accepting responsibility or not, he's going to be chayiv. So what's the reason for that chayiv?
The reason for that chayiv is that when by coming in, the act of coming in, he implicitly accepted responsibility.
Right. So that's irregardless if there's Rishus or not.
Right.
It's not.
But knowing Rishus and not Rishus affects whether he's going to guard or not. He's not going to. Is he guarding really? If he's coming without permission, he doesn't even have to guard it in order to whatchamacallit.
No, on the contrary, if he comes without permission, he has a greater responsibility to guard it.
Guard it. But the question is, but he should be guarding it either way.
We should be guarding it
of damage. He doesn't have to worry, but one way or another, he doesn't have to worry about the other guy though. He doesn't have to worry about his pots. His pot situation.
Leave his pots. Okay. We're talking about his obligation to watch, right? Now, if he comes in without Rishus,
but that's the difference. That's the machlokas between Rebbe and the Rabbanan.
Right.
What the Stama meaning is.
Okay.
The Stama meaning, according to Rabbanan, says by Stama, he knows he's coming in with Rishus to someplace else. He's going to watch his pots. His Stama, he's going to watch his pots, according to Rabbanan.
Okay.
According to Rebbe, he has to make a stipulation that I'm going to watch my pots in order to, so to speak, get off the hook. Because if Stama case, he wouldn't have to pay. He's not accepting the responsibility in the Stama case.
Without Rishus.
Without the Rishus.
Either way.
According to Rashi, what Rashi's saying over here.
Stama says, if nothing is explicit,
right,
then this is the case. According to Rebbe, if nothing is explicit, he does not accept responsibility. And according to the rabbis, if nothing is explicit, he does accept responsibility.
The Rebbe says, Kulam is chayiv. He's always chayiv. Right? Kulam, anyway,
no,
it's odd shikul, right?
He's only chayiv.
Right. Okay, but in the Rabbanan, right? In the Rabbanan, it doesn't matter if he's accepting it with Rishus or without Rishus.
Right.
Right?
Right, because by coming in with his pots, he created a Tsama case.
Okay.
According to the rabbis, therefore he accepted responsibility.
Mhm.
Doesn't matter whether he had permission or not.
Right. See, the way I'm concerned the way Rashi's explaining this, that because he's coming in with the shus, that now is causing him to accept upon himself the shmira, the guardianship over his objects doing damage, right? And when he comes in without rishus, the fellow doesn't know it. The fellow doesn't know anything. The Baal Chutzner doesn't know anything about this situation.
You're right. It seems to imply that what is completely counterintuitive, which would be that if he came in without permission, he doesn't have to guard.
Right.
But that can't be.
Why he can't be? Of course not. He's being negligent. He's trespassing.
Right.
Right. He's trespassing.
It's worse.
It's worse. He's certain. You're compounding the crime. He's trespassing, number one, and to say that he's not accepting upon himself responsibility. If the Baal Chutzner allows him to come in, so the Baal Chutzner is aware that there's foreign objects in his chutzner, so I could claim the opposite. I could claim, well, you, the Baal Bayis, allowed me to come in, right? So you know there are foreign objects in your chutzner, so you're going to be wary that I'm bringing my things in. So I can relax and not accept upon myself any responsibility for damages, right? But if he comes in without research, he's trespassing, right? He knows that the Baal Bayis is unaware of what's going, the foreign object in his chutzner. Morally, doesn't he think that he should be obligated in the damages for that? Everything's reversed.
So all you've got is this statement at the end about Rabbi Omer B'Kulan. And it's not really, there's no definition of that. Ein of Chayev.
Right.
Who are we talking about who's Ein of Chayev?
Right.
Does it have to be one or has to be either one?
Right.
Does it apply to both of them?
Yeah.
Does it only apply to the Baal Chutzner?
Right.
The Baal Chutzner can only be responsible for this. Does it only apply to the Baal HaKodesh? Which one?
Yeah.
So doesn't it have to apply to everybody?
Not necessarily.
Well, no.
It says in all cases.
You know, it's
The Kulan doesn't you don't know what the Kulan can mean all the cases. The Kulan can mean both of the people. You don't know what the Kulan means.
See, it's a bit funny. Rashi's explaining the statement of the Gemora money, and the Gemora says Rebbe, right? And he says Kasal Kadai to the Rabbanin. The whole proof that Rashi's trying to explain that the Gemara is talking about that it's Rebbe over here is based on the opinions of the Rebbanim, those who argue on Rebbe.
Right.
Why is he approaching it from that point of view? He should be explaining Rebbe. Now, why is he explaining the Rabbanim? The Gemara's statements has to do with Rebbe. Why is he explaining the Rabbanim to tell me about the Gemara's statement about Rebbe?
Why did it say this socket Daisa to the Rabbanim?
It's one of those. It's one of those you might think that, because the question becomes, what does it mean? That's the question in dispute here. When he gives him permission to reshoot, what does it mean? I give you permission to reshoot.
Okay.
Does it mean I give you permission to reshoot to come in? That if any, not only am I. Doesn't mean two things. It can mean two things. Does it mean, okay, I'm going to make sure your pots don't get broken? Or does it mean also I accept any responsibility? If my guy gets injured by you, I'm holding you blameless. Does it mean that? What does it mean? I'm accepting responsibility. I come in. Does come in mean whatever happens, I'm not going to blame you?
Mm-hmm.
Or does come in only refer to the pots. I will be careful that I won't whatchamacallit. I won't break the pots that's breaking them. But as far as the amount of your pots injuring my guy, hey, that's too much for me.
Could it have to do with the nature of the agreement? That when there is permission, then it means that there is an agreement. The two people have agreed.
Right.
When there's no permission, there's no agreement. They never had a conversation. He just walked in with his stuff.
Right.
So when it says Tsama, it's talking about an agreement.
Okay.
It doesn't govern the other case. The other case is now outside of that consideration.
Right.
And they're considering the stamina to still be part of it. The agreement concept is the reshut and the no reshut. That's the agreement.
What's implied by reshut?
What's the reshut? That's the question. Reshut. What is the stama? One guy thinks stama means that you take all responsibility. Another guy stama says no. It doesn't mean you're going to take all responsibility.
But does stama apply when there's no reshuts?
When there's no reshut, that goes back to the first case only. We're only fighting. We're only arguing. Actually, we are arguing. We're arguing the case that we're arguing. It seems like is that middle case, only the case of the guy's damage caused to his ox by the things that he brought in. That seems to be the case in argument.
This is
not
Rashi's explaining.
not the one before,
Right.
not the one where he comes in without the reshoot and it just breaks the pots. That's one thing, and not the case where he comes in with reshoot because he's coming in with reshoot here. It seems like it's the middle case when he gets damaged without reshoot that seems to be a problem. Without reshoot, and he came in. What is assumed?
Let's look again at let's look at Rashi again. Again, the Gemora said, how did the Gemora come to this point? The Gemora brought Tsama.
The Gemara is trying to show that
Right? The reason for all these chiyuvim is why? Why is the potter obligated? Right? We're assuming that the obligation for the potter is because he came in shalom b'rshus, right?
right.
And implicit in that answer is if he came in with rishus, he would be patur. Correct?
Right.
No, that's the point that's questioned right now.
Well,
If he came in with reshus, he only may be putter from breaking of the pots, not from the damage that your pots cause.
again, the Gemara is going to ask, ha rishus, it's going to, based on what you're saying, we're going to make an implication, right?
Right.
And that's going to lead to a side problem.
Right.
Right, but at this point, Tsama, the Gemara makes a statement. Tsama the shalom rishus. Why is he chayiv? Why is the potter obligated in the damages of the shur of the balachotzer because he came in without rishus, right?
Right.
Birishus. I'll tell you if that's the case, then it's mashma from that. If he came in with rishus, right, he would not be chayiv. Bala kaderes beniski behemto the balachotzer, right?
Right.
Why? V'lo meaning the kibul bala kaderes the trusa behemto shal balachotzer, and we will say that.
No, we don't say.
Yeah, v'lo meaning we don't say that he's mekabel the bal kaderes the potter the guardianship over the animal of the bal achotzer.
We don't say that when he came in with Tresus, he automatically accepted responsibility.
Right.
That's what we don't say.
Which is right.
So that's going to be Rebbe. Now, when the Gemara said Tsama, the Gemara is asking a Tsama according to Rebbe?
No, according to the rabbis.
No, we're getting an implication from the Gemara right away.
Yeah.
Just that once we say shalom reshus, he be chayiv, it should mean that therefore with reshus it automatically would mean patur. That's what the implication of the Gemara off the bat.
Tsama, shalom rishus. With rishus,
Pater, no Machayev.
Right? Oh my God.
No Pater. And now the question is, why should he be Pater? And then the question is, he's saying with the Pater, because it's according to Rebbe, who says he didn't accept responsibility on it. That's a reason why he can make it Pater. We have a reason why he should be Pater.
Right.
And Rebbe, according to Rebbe, he was Pater. Because he let him in, but he still didn't accept responsibility in a Stam case. And now we're saying that seems to contradict what the Rabbanim said.
Right, because and as we started off, I thought we were looking for a reason based on the Rabbanim, right?
Which is lower read. Don't say like the Rabbanim.
Yeah.
Don't say like the Rabbanim.
Right, don't say that. And Rebbe's saying not like that, exactly.
And then it seems to be, then the Sefer seems to be a contradiction.
So the aim of the Sefer. So okay, we can go further in the Gemora.
Aim of the Sefer. What does it say? If he did enter,
Bruce,
it's Chayiv. That's what the Sefer does say, that he's Chayiv.
Chayiv, right? So you see, he's Chayiv. So that can't be Rebbe anymore. That's in the Rabbanan. That brings us to the Rabbanan Shita. That's the opinion of the Rabbanan, that he's Chayiv. Im hiknus b'rishus, the balachatzus chayiv.
The Tsama nami kibul aleha nitivusa. So then we're saying that in Stam case he did accept it upon himself.
Mm-hmm.
But we just said before, we don't say that he accepted upon himself in the Stam case.
Mm-hmm.
So the Sefer is like Rebbe. We don't say he accepted upon himself in the Stam case. The Reisha is like Rebbe, and the Sefer is like the rabbis, where we do say he accepted upon himself. So there's contradiction in this case. Because the case should be by one person.
Right.
And it sounds like it's by two people.
Well, that could be a contradiction. That's allowable or not allowable. You know, it's a question, but it's allowable. You can have a ratio of say to be two different people.
Yeah.
You can?
Yeah.
I thought that was not allowed.
It's in general it's not allowed in general, but if you have no choice, the Gemara in general stays away from
But
those.
isn't the whole point of the Gemora to say this is stira?
At this point, because what do you think? What's causing the steer over here? We know there's a machlokas Rebbe and the Rabbanim, right? That's open for us in the Mishnah. What's causing the difficulty in the Gemara over
It's
here?
causing difficulty because there's an implication already in it. And that implication
You're
seems
assuming something.
Right. There's an implication in it.
Right.
And that implication seems to be how do we resolve this implication? And if the implication works right away, then you don't even need the Sefer, so to speak. The Sefer comes out automatically as being the implication of what the Reisha says. If this happens what it is, which is that we're out just up, it's automatic the case. And now it's not automatic the case according to Rebbe. It's not automatic the case to Rebbe. What's the problem? How do we resolve that?
You see, the implication, the assumption of the Gemara is what's causing the difficulties over there.
Right.
Right?
The assumption about what we assume in the Stam case.
Right. What's the implication of the Stam case? Right.
The Reisha seems to be going with the implication according to Rebbe, and the Sefer seems to be going with the implication according to the rabbis. And we're troubled by that because it should be that the Reisha and the Sefer are according to the same person.
Right.
Or we'd like them to be.
What?
Or we'd like them to be.
Yeah, I mean, in general, you want to set it
Well, we
up
want to
right.
have a reason why they're not. We want to have some, we'd be able to say, oh, but that's because in this case, blah, 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 blah.
Right.
Okay, I'll have to work on it some more, Mr. Shem.